Oh, gotta love a good string moment. Not only was she in Baku 2012, but she took out the competition, placing first with the song Euphoria. Will she take out the competition again though? Alright, yep. Hello everyone, how are you going today?
Here I am. Here we are. Yes!
If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Lucas. How are you? And if you are a subscriber or a returning viewer, welcome back. I hope you're doing very well as well. Well, I don't even know how to start. I'm filming this about four so days after the grand final of Eurovision, and holy shit. Because what did I just watch? Like, this year was insane. I have so much to say about the contest this year. Many thoughts, head full. That's how I feel right now. I really feel like Liverpool 2023 has become one of the best years of Eurovision in recent history, because it's just everything about this year was just so fantastic, so great. There's so much that's happened. It's been such a wild ride. I'm just looking back at like my predictions of what I thought about countries placing where. I really enjoyed watching it this year. It's been so fun. It's bittersweet now because it was so great, but I wished it lasted a bit longer. I missed it now, and now we will have to wait another year for it to come back around again. But you know, we're officially in the off season for Eurovision. I'm not going to drag the intro along because I've got so much to talk about. Oh yes, before we get started, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so that you can get notified on when I upload. And leave a comment down below about your thoughts on the competition this year. Before I go into the actual show, I do have one thing that I was a bit annoyed about this year, and this is like Australian specifically only. I was ready to watch the live stream on YouTube, but I realized very clearly that the live stream wasn't broadcasted in Australia, and I wasn't too sure why. And I did a bit of research, and it turns out that Australia, the UK, the US, and even like Greece and Lithuania didn't get the live stream on YouTube. We had to just go to like other alternative broadcasting services. So for Australia, that was basically, we were just watching on SBS, which was fine, but I was under the impression that we did have the live stream. So my viewing of the semi-final one was a bit all over the place because I watched the show bit by bit on YouTube via the videos on the Wednesday, but then I had to wait and just rewatch it again on Friday, and then I had to watch the second semi-final Saturday, and then the grand final Sunday night. Regardless though, it was still fun, and you know what, it was good too, because then I got to hear the lovely quips from our broadcast representatives, Joel Creasey and Miff Warhurst. One other thing I want to bring up is the difference in my ranking for the contest. Here is my top 20 songs for Eurovision this year after I did my reaction video. And honestly, it was quite good for the time. And now here's what it looks like after I've watched the competition. And as you can see, there has been a bit of movement since the competition. Mainly, Who the Hell's Edgar is no longer my favourite song this year. It is, in fact, Samo mi se spava, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. That song is fantastic. And probably the biggest move in my ranking has definitely been Tattoo by Loreen. I'll talk more about it when we get to her, but listening to that song being performed live, it just made me love it even more and more. But again, other big moves up were Noah Carell, May Muller, even like Lord of the Lost and Blanca Paloma did good moving up. And there have been two new songs in my top 20 now, Alessandra and Monica Linkite. I did say Linkite in my reaction. I didn't, because I don't know how some accents are pronounced. So Monica Linkite, who removed Mia Nicolai and Dion Cooper and picked Jax respectively. With that, we'll start off with semi-final one. Semi-final one started off with the opening act titled Welcome to Liverpool, where we see a young boy watching the contest last year, seeing Kalush Orchestra win for Ukraine, then seeing on the news that Ukraine won't be able to host due to the war, but then afterwards hearing that his hometown will be hosting Eurovision, and then going around the town spreading the word to everyone. Meanwhile, there is a scene of a Ukrainian girl in the UK introducing herself to her brand new school. Then we see the boy getting ready to watch Eurovision this year, and as he does, he gets sucked into the television, kind of like Crash Bandicoot in Warped. Then we see the boy live on the Eurovision stage, and he walks up to this like lit up frame with the Ukrainian girl. You have this beautiful moment while someone, I don't know who is singing it, but someone is singing a cover of the iconic Phil Oakey and Giorgio Moroder track Together in Electric Dreams. Top 180 songs for me. That is like one of my favorite songs from the 80s. It's just such a great song. We'll always be together, however. Then the two kids walk up to the main part of the stage where we get introduced to 1/4 of our hosts, Julia Sinina, rocking out in this bloody fucking awesome outfit. That's like this black leather dress with fire print on the bottom. That look was just absolutely fantastic, and she is joined with the rest of her band, The Hard Kiss, and performed the song Mayak. I might have to listen to The Hard Kiss after watching Eurovision this year because they were really good. I really enjoyed their performance. And then after the performance, we get introduced to two more of our hosts for the evening, Hannah Waddingham and Alicia Dixon. Come on. Bring it. I feel like I got like my idea of who's going to host what mixed up, because I was under the impression when I did my reaction that Hannah and Alicia were going to host the semi-finals and Graham and Julia were going to host the grand final. But what actually happened was it was Julia, Hannah and Alicia hosting the semi-finals, and then Graham was joining them for the grand final. We'll get to that later on, but in the meantime, we have our three girlies and they were really good. I must say, they were really great hosts this year. I do know that Alicia though was mostly like in the green room talking to the contestants. She wasn't much on the main stage with Julia and Hannah, maybe for the best actually. I have to say though, Julia and Hannah had such great chemistry throughout the entire contest. They were really like carrying the weight of the hosting duties this year, and looking back in retrospect, I reckon it should have been just them two hosting, because it wouldn't have made much of a difference in my opinion.
No, I don't think you understand. I'm obsessed.
Sorry to Alicia and to Graham, but we'll get to Graham when we get to the grand final, because that was, yeah. Oh god. The host greeted us for the event.
Let the Eurovision Song Contest begin!
And we get started with the semi-final performances. I'm not going to talk about the performances themselves until I talk about the actual countries when they have been placed either in the semi-final or the grand final. But what I will say about semi-final 1 is that this was the better semi-final of the two, and I feel like that's because there were more of my favourite songs in that semi-final, and a lot of the songs that were front runners as well. So if anything, semi-final 1 had a lot more high stakes in terms of who was going to go through to the grand final and who wasn't going to. So it was just an all-around great time, semi-final 1. One thing that I do want to mention though, and it's not just particularly with semi-final 1, but just with the whole contest, why were there so many people lying on the floor on the stage? So many acts at one stage or another were just lying on the floor. I don't understand. Even guests like Tina Carroll and Rita Ora were lying down performing. I didn't know there was a theme with the performances this year, but apparently there was. There was so many people just like lying down, wanting to take a nap. They just want to go to sleep. Someone, Mr. Spava, wake up. Wake the fuck up. Anyways, all the semi-finalists perform.
Anyone who tries to vote for their own country, your identity will flash up on the television and you'll be named and shamed.
Then we get on to the second performance of the evening, titled Welcome to Our House, which was another cross between Liverpudlian and Ukrainian cultures. It was a duet between Liverpudlian artist Rebecca Ferguson and Ukrainian artist Alyosha, who represented Ukraine back in 2010 with the song Sweet People, and she ended up placing 10th in the grand final with 108 points. Unfortunately, due to the war, Alyosha actually had to flee Ukraine last year to seek refuge, leaving all of her loved ones behind. But Alyosha rose above it all, and she told her story on the stage by doing a very beautiful rendition of Duran Duran's Ordinary World. That was such a great performance. I really enjoyed it, and I loved the set design, the way it all just sort of was intrinsically made. I can only imagine like something like that, how much time and effort it would have to take to get it all done correctly. It was so beautiful. I really enjoyed that performance.
If you haven't voted yet, do it now before it's too late.
And then the third and final performance of the evening was Miss Rita Ora, who just featured on my last video for the Met Gala, where I gave her a 9 out of 10 for her outfit.
It's the amazing Rita Ora! What? Who?
Good morning, Rita Ora. We're talking about you.
Good morning, Rita Ora. We're talking about you.
And she performed a medley of her hits. She performed Ritual, which I don't know, so it probably was a bigger hit in Europe because it wasn't a big hit here in Australia. Then she performed Anywhere, which I thought was good. I knew it, but I thought there were so many other songs that she could have chosen instead of Anywhere that were bigger hits, like Your Song, Let You Love Me, or even How We Do. But that didn't matter because then she performed my personal favourite song of hers, I Will Never Let You Down. That song is a 2014 bop. And then she performed her latest single, Praising You, which interpolates Fatboy Slim's iconic track, Praise You. We were partying like it was 1999.
It's gonna be phenomenal. You got this, you're a unicorn.
That's it?
One other thing that I wanted to bring up, which wasn't in the Australian broadcast, but it was there on the YouTube channel. This is 1 minute long thing where Alicia Dixon did a rap of the last 25 years of Eurovision, which I thought was really cool because she also had like Alessandra and the Busker there with her, and it was so cool because I got to hear Alicia rap again. It was taking me back to when she was in Mystique.
Eurovision's back, yeah, we're in the UK. It's been 25 years from Imani to May.
And it showed me that Alicia still has it.
I mean, we have had the occasional turkey.
What was that?
Ew!
Clap if you care.
Then we moved on to the qualifier reveals.
You're good to go.
Now, this is where it got really intense because I had my predictions on who was going to go through to the grand final. And to give you guys a refresher on who they were, my predictions for semi-final 1 were Norway, Serbia, Portugal, Switzerland, Israel, Moldova, Sweden, Czechia, the Netherlands, and Finland. So we get to the qualifier reveals, and straight off the bat, I get my first L because the first act that was revealed to go through to the grand final was, in fact, Croatia.
Croatia!
I was completely shocked with because I did not realize that so many people love them and that song.
I'm so thrilled, and I think this is where the televote really comes into play, be the jury vote.
Yeah.
Often the kooky acts don't make it through to the grand final
That's
because
right.
the juries really stifle them.
I mean, congratulations to Croatia for going through. Like, I'm happy that they did, but I just didn't think it was going to be with this song. But it also meant I was at a bit of a panic because I was like, oh my god, if Croatia went through, then who else is going to go through? My prediction is going to be like way off. Then they announced Moldova as the second country, and I was happy with that, you know, because at least it was a song that I predicted, and it was a good song regardless. Then Switzerland was announced third, which was also great, but at that point, none of my faves were announced just yet. The ones that I really want to go through were Serbia, Finland, Portugal, and Czechia, and then below them it was Israel and Sweden. But thankfully, my luck was about to turn because then they announced Finland fourth, and I was really happy about that. But the crowd went wild when they announced Karia as a grand finalist, to the point where Julia and Hannah had to calm the crowd down before they could continue. Everyone went cuckoo for Karia.
The next country through to the final is...
And then it got better from there because then Czechia was announced 5th, Israel was announced 6th, Portugal was announced 7th, and Sweden was announced 8th.
Yes, Queen, yes! Oh my god, I'm sorry.
You're okay.
That was all fine and dandy. But at that point, Serbia wasn't announced as a grand finalist yet. And I'm like, please, please, please let Serbia go through because that song is fantastic. I said to myself, if Serbia doesn't go through, I was going to storm straight to Liverpool, straight up to Mr. Ersadal and say, what the fuck's up? What the fuck? Why is Serbia not in the grand final? But I didn't have to wait for too long because the 9th country that they announced was Serbia. So all was well and good. and I was happy with that. I was happy that Serbia went through, but we'll talk more about that later because Serbia almost didn't go through, which I was quite shocked to realise. And then came the final country. Out of the two that I predicted, I still had Norway and the Netherlands. And I was like, well, out of the two, if I had to choose one that I think should have gone through, it would have to be Norway because Norway had the better track. Norway had the better reception and just had the better energy than Netherlands. And sure enough, Norway was announced as the final qualifier for semi-final 1. So my accuracy rate for semi-final 1 with my predictions was 9 out of 10. It was 90%. Maybe I'm a bit of a genius. I don't know.
My mind, it amazes me sometimes.
So now we can talk about the countries that didn't qualify for semi-final 1 and talk about, their performance a bit more. Coming in 15th place in semi-final 1 was the busker with Dance Our Own Party for Malta with 3 points. And honestly, I was quite surprised that they came last. I thought their performance wasn't the worst for that semi-final. I really felt sorry for them. I felt like they shouldn't have been last.
I kind of feel sorry for you. Oh, yeah.
Was the song the best? No. But did it deserve to be last? Also no. And I really think Malta was one of those countries where their performance helped to elevate the song even more. I really liked the bit at the beginning where they had cardboard cutouts of what I assume were previous representatives for Malta because one of the cutouts was Destiny from 2021. And it was cute. It was a cute little number. I didn't know how they got into those sparkly jackets so quickly. That had to be precision to do that. Either that or it was already done in post. I don't know what. But also, I was digging the lead singer's moves. Yeah, but still a bit of a shame that they came last. I thought they did deserve to be a bit better. Not to go through to the grand final, but still, a bit better.
And were you extra on Neighbours? Is that correct?
Yeah, extra on Neighbours and on Ride Like a Girl.
Oh, yeah. I was on Neighbours for a year playing Mick the Gay Stalker.
Then in 14th place, we had Tehran X with Tell Me More for Azerbaijan.
Miss, we're having twins.
Oh!
They ended up getting 4 points, so 1 above Malta. I was right with Azerbaijan not doing well because I felt like, the song's cute, but I really felt like it wasn't enough to go through to the grand final. And look, the performance wasn't too bad. It was nice, but for me, personally, it did leave a lot to be desired. In one of the interviews that our broadcast representatives had with Tehran X, they said that they were big fans of the Beatles, and you could really see that with their outfits.
We did perform in the Cavern Club.
No way. That's the legendary venue where the Beatles first performed.
Amazing feeling.
In 13th place was Mia Nicolai and Dion Cooper with Burning Daylight for the Netherlands. They ended up getting 7 points, and look, they were the one song that I predicted to go through, but ended up not going through, and I can see why they didn't go through, unfortunately. One thing that I didn't understand was why they decided to perform the song a key or two higher than the studio version. I felt like it was to the artist's detriment because I felt like the key in the studio version was perfect. I felt like something was a bit off when it was higher. And the staging, it was okay. I liked the lights in the background, especially towards the end where they were glimmering. That was beautiful. But all it was just Mia and Dion on a rotating platform, which wouldn't be too bad, but I don't know, I kind of felt like that they didn't have that much chemistry on stage either. I don't know if that was just me, but I just felt like they didn't have the best chemistry. A shame that it didn't go through. I'm just surprised that they lost to Croatia.
It's just like Kenny and Dolly, Ireland's in the stream, isn't it?
In 12th place was Wild Youth with We Are One for Ireland, ending up with 10 points. And I was surprised that Ireland was higher up than the Netherlands and Malta. Just saying, it's not one of my favourite songs this year. And just like Burning Daylight, Wild Youth decided to have the song a key or two lower. And again, I don't know why they decided to do that. Maybe because they couldn't perform it live in that regular key. I don't know. And I don't care, really. The performance was a bit lackluster. I mean, it was just the band performing. It was nice and all, but I just think it wasn't enough. It wasn't engaging. That's how I felt. Again, didn't expect them to go through, but I was just surprised that they came 12th. It was only 10 points, so it wasn't like it made much of a difference as opposed to 11th place. And coming in at 11th place and just missing out literally by 3 points was Sudden Lights with Aya for Latvia with 34 points. Which, if Latvia did go through, I wouldn't have been too upset but I think, again, like I said in my reaction, I just don't think they had enough to go through to the grand final. The performance wasn't too bad. I think it was another song where the performance helps to make the song better. Not by much, unfortunately. Another performance where I didn't feel like I was engaging with as much. Again, that's just my personal opinion and how I engage with it. And yeah, that was semi-final 1. It was quite intense because like I said, there were a lot of songs that I wanted to go through. The stakes were high, unlike semi-final 2, which we'll get to right now. Actually, before we get into it, there is another thing that I wanted to bring up, which was the postcards, which is a very big staple of Eurovision. If you're not a Eurovision fan and you don't know what I'm talking about and you're just watching this because, you follow me, I'll quickly explain now. The postcards are shown just before the artists perform, and usually they show them either intertwined between scenery from the host country with either the artist juxtaposed somewhere in it. But this year, I thought the postcards are really great because it first showed scenery from Ukraine. It would show one certain building, like, say for example, a church from Ukraine. Then it would show a church in the United Kingdom. And then it would show a church in that artist's country and have the artist there as well doing something there. And I thought it was really nice because not only did it get to show a piece of Ukrainian and English geography and architecture, but it also got to show the artist's home country and a bit of their architecture and landmarks. And I thought that was really cool. It got to show the best of both worlds, really. And we got to see the artists do something that they love doing or just something else, It was a moment, and I love that. I really enjoyed the postcards this year. Alright, let's move on to semi-final 2. We just had the hosts come in. Bring it. To introduce the beginning of semi-final 2.
Let the Eurovision Song Contest second semi-final begin!
And then we got to see the semi-final 2 performances. I did mention it a bit just before, but semi-final 2 wasn't as exciting as semi-final 1. And I think it mainly leaned on the fact that there were a lot more of the front runners and more of my favorite songs in semi-final 1 as opposed to semi-final 2 in there. It was still good, but there were maybe a few more forgettable performances, unfortunately.
So between you, we've worked out you have over 30 years of commentary expertise. Graham, we're so looking forward to having you with us on the final.
I'm so not needed, but I'm...
So that all happened.
I'm in the green room area, it's all kicking off. No, it's not.
And then we moved on to the first performance of the night, which was titled Music Unites Generations. Excuse me, hang on. Need a bit of tea. Which had a medley of well-known music from Ukraine, which introduced 3 Ukrainian artists. We had Maria Yaremchuk, who represented Ukraine in 2014 with the song TikTok, which placed 6th in the grand final with 113 points. And she did really great. I loved the set design of the wheat field and just having Maria walking slowly through it. I thought that was really beautiful. And then we got introduced to Ukrainian rapper Otoy. He was great as well. And then afterwards, Maria did a duet with, I'm sorry if I pronounced her surname incorrectly because I don't know how it is pronounced, but I'm going to attempt it. Zlata Dzhunka, who I think represented Ukraine in one junior Eurovision. I don't know what year and how well she did, but her and Maria did a rendition of Stedrick, which was the original rendition of the Christmas song Carol of the Bells, which I didn't realize until Julia informed us about it, which I thought was really cool.
What's going on? You're going to jail!
Don't worry, Julia, we'll explain to you later.
Don't knock it until you've tried it.
And then the second performance of the night was titled Be Who You Want to Be, and it was all about how Eurovision celebrates inclusivity, which I thought was a great message. And it was so cool because it started off with Julia, Hannah, and Alicia walking through this thing called the Queen Machine.
Shall we give it a go?
Oh, yes.
Come on. God, she's a minx, that one.
And then they came out as drag queens impersonating the host, which I thought was really cool. We had Misdemeanor impersonating Hannah, Mercedes-Benz impersonating Alicia, and Tamara Thomas impersonating Julia. And then they went and lip-synced for their life. They became lip-sync assassins and did a medley of songs. including Free Yourself by Jessie Ware, Free Your Mind by En Vogue, Free by Ultra Nate, and Australia's entry for Eurovision in Lisbon 2018, We Got Love by Jessica Malboy, alongside a bunch of dancers. And I really enjoyed it because it was a good mixture of songs that they chose, especially Free Your Mind and Free. Those are 90s classics. It just was like one of those performances that really made you feel good, and I really enjoyed myself, and that was, I think, one of my personal favourite performances of the entire competition.
You are going to love what we've got coming up on My Name Isn't Hannah Waddingham.
Excuse me, lady.
Also, there was this other thing that wasn't part of the Australian broadcast, but there was this other thing called Ode to Eurovision, where Luke Evans did a spoken word section about the history of Eurovision. Didn't do much for me. Anyways, let's move on to the more important things, which was the chloroform. Good God, no. The qualifier reveals.
You're good to go.
I mean, it's not every day you get that from Martin Österdahl, is it?
This qualifying round was going to be a little bit harder because I didn't know who had the potential to go through, but I was hoping to go for a 10 for 10 and 100% accuracy rate for my predictions. And starting off, it was quite good. We had Albania announced first, Cyprus announced second, Estonia announced third, Belgium announced fourth, and you could really tell that everyone was really happy when Belgium went through. They clearly loved him, and you could see that Gustav was very emotional with the announcement. And I'm just really proud for him that he went through, because his song was really great. We'll get to that afterwards. Moving on, then we had Austria announced 5th, which was great because that was one of my favourites to go through. Lithuania announced 6th. And then this is where things get a little bit off course for my predictions, because then the 7th country that was announced was Poland. And I really, really did not expect Poland to go through. I just felt like it didn't, I just didn't like the song.
It didn't do it for me. It may have done it for you. I don't want to yuck someone else's yum, but I'm surprised.
Clearly, I'm in the minority, but that's okay. So I thought, okay, well, it's down to 90% again. And then it was a no-brainer, but Australia was announced 8th. Now, here's one thing that I'm a bit pissed off with. There were so many people trying to spoil the fact that Australia went through to the grand final for me leading up to watching it Saturday night. My grandmother was trying to say it. My dad was literally trying to say it on the phone to me. Even SBS ruined it for me. In the end, SBS ruined it for me. Do you know why? To everyone who wasn't watching the Australian broadcast, in between the ads, the SBS would show people posting photos on I think Instagram with the hashtag SBS Eurovision to show how they're celebrating Eurovision in Australia, which is all cool and everything. It shows how many people are watching Eurovision throughout the weekend. But there was one video that they showed, and it was right after everyone performed and they opened the votes. Going into the break, there was a video of people watching the qualifier reveal at a bar somewhere, obviously that morning, and it showed the part where Australia went through to the grand final. Literally 45 minutes before that even happened with the rerun.
Shut up. Don't nobody want to hear that right now.
I tell you, it was a mess trying to avoid spoilers. I was really annoyed with that. But you know what the funniest part is? When they showed the second semi-final, when they showed it again Sunday afternoon, they changed it to something else because they knew they fucked up. But it was still how can you let that slip? Can't they just vet the stuff to make sure there's no spoilers? I don't understand. But going back to the qualifier reveals, the 9th country announced was Armenia, which was another one that I didn't predict, so I was down to 80%. At that point, there was 3 countries that I still had in my head of my predictions, which were Denmark, San Marino, and Slovenia, and I'm like, well, out of those 3, who had the better chance of going through based on the performance that night? And I felt like it had to be Slovenia, because even though I did like Denmark's song, his performance wasn't the best. We'll get to that in a second, but hopefully it's Slovenia. And Slovenia was the 10th and final act revealed for semi-final 2 and for the entire semi-finals. Oh yeah, and my predictions. Sorry, I forgot my predictions. My predictions were Denmark, Estonia, Belgium, Cyprus, Slovenia, San Marino, Austria, Albania, Lithuania, and Australia. Again, 80% accuracy rate with that one. So again, not too bad. I would consider that a win. So now let's talk about the non-qualifying countries for semi-final 2 and their performances. So coming in dead last in 16th place, we had Theodore Andre with DGT off and on for Romania, and he unfortunately got no points from the public, which I understand, honestly. It was quite interesting. I really liked the move that he did with the acoustic guitar for the first verse and chorus. If he made the song a bit more like that, more acoustic like that, instead of what it actually turned out to be, then maybe I could have liked it a bit better. But, you know, that wouldn't have lasted for too long. And when I was watching it initially, I thought, well, is it going to be acoustic the whole way through? Because if so, then why did he put out the original version as like the one, you know? But he soon transitioned to the actual version, so it was by the by. And look, it wasn't the most memorable performance. It would be entirely forgettable if it wasn't for the final 20 seconds of the performance where, right as he did his big moment, I see from the distance, watching on TV, I see from the distance this woman running towards the front of the stage, towards the bit in the middle, and smearing what I assume is like paint on Theodore's body? Like, what?
What a waste of Nutella. Don't really know what was going on there.
It just left me confused. It left me confused and bewildered, and I didn't enjoy myself. It was a weird time. Oh my god. Anyways. I knew it wasn't going to do good, but 0 points. Yeah. And unfortunately, it wasn't the only song in the semi-final that got 0 points, because in 15th place we had Peaked Jacks with Like an Animal for San Marino. They also had 0 points. I kind of understand that as well, because despite the song being not too bad and how I felt like it was quite a good song, the performance was forgettable. I could not think to you a particular moment that stood out for me in that performance, which really said something. It wasn't engaging. I felt like even though they were a rock band, there wasn't enough stage presence to keep me hyped for the song. I felt like I was zoning in and out of the performance, so yeah, didn't do much for me. Then 14th place we had Riley with Breaking My Heart for Denmark, which again I thought it was a bit disappointing considering that I did like Breaking My Heart, but just like with Peaked Jacks, the performance wasn't the best. I was disappointed with the performance. It didn't do the song justice, unfortunately, but at least there was a bit of like set design there with the walls. It was kind of giving The Boy Is Mine vibes. I did feel like, you know, watching the performance, it wasn't enough to qualify for the grand final, which was a shame, but I understand. I understand how it goes sometimes. But what I'm shocked about is 13th place, which was Victor Vernikos with What They Say for Greece, who ended up getting 14 points, who I actually forgot to mention, Denmark had 6 points. So Greece had 14 points, and I'm thinking to myself, what a wonderful world. I'm thinking to myself, why is Greece that high up? Because if anything, that's probably one of my least favourite songs from this year, because it gave me nothing. The performance would have been easily forgettable had it not been for the fact that Victor was just awkwardly jumping and moving around the stage for the majority of the performance. I don't understand. I don't know if he was nervous or if that was intentional, but it looked weird. It looked weird and I did not like it. Not that I didn't like it, I just found it funny. I'm sorry to Victor. It looked like he didn't know what to do with himself on stage, and he was out there looking like the long-lost relative of the Owen family.
I have furniture older than Victor.
Oh, well, Miff, don't worry. You'll be pleased to know that after the break, all of the artists are at least in their early 20s.
That is not helping me, Joel.
Anyways, let's move on. In 12th place, we had Iru with Echo for Georgia. 33 points it ended up having. Another song that I felt like that the performance elevated the song, and I thought, you know, it maybe had a chance to go through to the grand final because there was a better stage presence there. Simple yet effective, but at the same time, I felt like it still didn't have enough to qualify because I still felt like I wasn't entirely engaged with the performance. So, and then coming up at 11th place and missing out on being in the grand final was Dilia with Power for Iceland, ending up with 44 points. Not surprised it didn't qualify as well. Again, not enough stage presence. Like she was doing a bit of dancing, which was nice, but just like basically all the other songs that didn't qualify in the grand final, the performance wasn't engaging. I didn't find anything engaging about the performance. It was just Dilia singing and dancing. And also one thing that I did forget to mention in my reaction was, I know that I said that Blanca's song Solo sounded a lot like Clean Bandit by Solo, and saying how some songs do sound like more popular songs. And what I didn't realize until I started editing that video was that Power actually sounds a lot like Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. So I wanted to bring that up now so that you guys know. And yeah, it sounded, especially in the chorus. If you compare the two, then you'll know what I'm talking about, but it wasn't enough for the grand final, honestly. And rightfully so. We've come to the biggest night of them all, the grand final, which was on Sunday night for me. It was really exciting, and we get introduced to our very first performance of the night, titled Voices of a New Generation, where we see Kalush Orchestra in Ukraine performing the melody of their winning song Stefania, which juxtaposed with these people in the UK, people playing the strings, and then it showed, the song being influenced in the UK, and people like playing it. And we even had special appearances in it from Andrew Lloyd Webber, Joss Stone, and Kate Middleton playing the piano. And I was like, okay, go off, sis. Then we get to see Kalush Orchestra on stage performing a medley of both Stefania and their brand new single, Changes. And that was great too, because I think that was such a great way to start off the grand final. Kalush Orchestra really pulled it off, getting everyone hyped for the grand final. It was exciting. So then after that, we got another iconic moment of the Eurovision Song Contest, which is the flag parade. The flag parade and the postcards are big staples of the competition. So the flag parade is when you have all countries in the grand final coming out with their flag in running order of performance, and they have come out with their country's flag, and it's so cool. And this year I felt like was really great because it interlaced iconic British music, including Hey Boy Hey Girl by the Chemical Brothers, Sweet Dreams Are Made of This by Eurythmics, Theme from Sexpress, and Song 2 by Blur, and former Ukrainian representatives of Eurovision past performing their songs, including Go A performing 2021's Shum, Jamala performing her winning song 2016's 1944, Tina Carroll performing 2006's Show Me Your Love, and the iconic Verka Serduchka performing the timeless Eurovision classic 2007's Dancing Lasha Tumbai. One of the best flag parades for a while, actually, because it was so engaging, and it just really got me excited for the grand final. Then we get introduced to our hosts again. And this time, we get introduced to our fourth and final host of the year, Graham Norton.
Come on. Bring it.
And this might be a hot take, but I don't know why he was there in the first place. I hate to say it, but he brought nothing to the competition. I really, again, bring up the fact that I wouldn't have minded if it was Julia and Hannah hosting, because they had such great chemistry. Graham just stood out like a sore thumb. It was kind of like he didn't know what to do with himself half the time, and then the other half of the time it was almost like he didn't want to be there. Hi. So, I've just quickly come on here to formally retract about 70% of what I just said then, because while I think there were times that Graham Norton was a bit out of place in comparison with Julia, Hannah, and Alicia, there were times that he was particularly funny. Don't get me wrong, I love Graham, but I felt a bit let down with his hosting duties to a certain extent. He was still relatively funny. His energy with Hannah during the jury votes was immaculate, which we'll get to later. Maybe Hannah is the underlying factor. Maybe she's just such a really great host. So I just want to come in and just say that, I think I was a little bit too harsh on Graham. Alright, back to the video. Anyways, one other thing they announced before the grand final started, which I think was really big news.
Luxembourg have just announced they want to rejoin next year.
For people who are like my age or younger, probably don't realize how massive that is, because Luxembourg have been on hiatus for 30 years. Their last competition was in 1993. So that was 3 years before I was even born. So it's going to be amazing, because currently Luxembourg holds the title of having the second most amount of wins in Eurovision, with 5 wins all throughout the 20th century. They are heavyweight champions. This is going to be the first time that they're going to be performing in the 21st century. So how's it going to weigh up? Will Luxembourg go back to its former glory? Will they do really well in the competition now that they're coming back? That's the main thing. Will they come back with a vengeance? And how will they perform in this new era of Eurovision? Because a lot has happened in Eurovision since 1993. So we'll have to wait and see when they come back in 2024. Can't wait, honestly. It'll be the first time that a lot of people my age and younger are going to see Luxembourg perform for the first time. That's such a weird thing to think. After that announcement, they announced the grand final start.
Eurovision Song Contest 2023!
And we had all 26 countries perform, including the Big Five and Ukraine. And it was amazing seeing them all perform again. It was very exciting.
Huh?
Hi. What have you been doing?
So then after all the performances went through, we had 2 more performances during the opening and closing of the votes.
Wrong red alert. It looks like you're watching your private collection of Eurovision DVDs.
That's exactly what I'm doing. Why is that weird?
The first performance was Sam Ryder, last year's runner-up, performing his brand new single Mountains. I really like this performance as well because all of the dancers that were on stage all had some type of physical disability, which I thought was really beautiful and really inspiring to see all these people that, even though they may have a physical disadvantage to them, they're still moving through life perfectly. I was watching it along with my mum and my grandma, and she thought she saw Roger Taylor from Queen performing as well. And turns out she was right. It is actually Roger Taylor from Queen performing with Sam Ryder. I thought that was fucking amazing. I didn't even realize that until I was making all my notes and everything. That was insane.
A whole load of...
Yes, Gaga, yes!
And then the very final performance of the contest was titled the Liverpool Songbook.
Liverpool Songbook.
Which personally for me, I think is one of my favourite performances of the whole competition. And it showcased previous Eurovision contestants performing well-known songs from Liverpudlian artists and acts. Starting off with Mahmood performing Imagine by John Lennon. Him singing that song, it was very beautiful. Mahmood has a voice that I feel like works well with a dance song, but also with a ballad as well. Then Neda performed You Spin Me Round Like a Record by Dead or Alive, and hers was good. I don't think it was my personal favourite of the medley, but you know, she still did good. I loved her outfit where it had like the inflatable like things on her back. I don't know what they were supposed to be, but you know, they were inflatable. It almost like, you know, like helium like balloons, like the stuff you would have like at a party. And then we had Dadi Freya perform Whole Again by Atomic Kitten, which I didn't know that I needed that until I saw him perform it. I really hope that he has released it as a song on Spotify, because I would love to listen to him sing Whole Again because he did such a great version of that. That song just takes me back to my childhood as well. Then we had Cornelia Jacobs perform I Turn To You by Mel C, which I thought she did a great job of that as well. Then we had Sonia perform her entry for the UK in 1993, Better the Devil You Know, which they cut out from the Australian broadcast. I don't know why they did that, but they did. I don't know why. And then lastly, Duncan Lawrence performed You'll Never Walk Alone by Jerry and the Pacemakers. At first he performed it alone, but then all of the acts from the evening, including everyone who did the songbook, Sam Ryder, and all the Ukrainian artists who performed before, coming together. And they also had Ruslana as well, who, thanks to her song Wild Dances, gave Ukraine their first win back in 2004. She was there live in Ukraine along with a bunch of other people as they sung You'll Never Walk Alone, which I thought was beautiful. And it just really showed how the energy of the audience, not just from the grand final but from the semi-finals, with the theme United by Music. It just, there was something so magical about the competition this year and how unified everyone was. It was just so beautiful and it just was amazing.
It's getting tense. Oh my fucking god.
Oh, okay.
One other thing I want to mention was something that I wasn't too sure if it was on the official Eurovision broadcast or if it was solely for the Australian broadcast, but there was a moment just before the voting where Alicia Dixon went into the Australian broadcasting box and chatted with Myf Warhurst and Joel Creasey. I thought that was really cool because I got to see Alicia talking to them and, you know, asking them how they're going with Eurovision and their feelings.
So people having lots of like breakfast parties.
Yeah, or you're just pushing through. Like, this is totally orange juice.
And I just wanted to take this moment to just give a shout out to Miff and Joel because their energy with each other is so cute. This is their 6th year being the representatives for Australia for the broadcasting.
Eurovision is celebrating the ways we can all be united by music.
We're celebrating her cans too. Gosh, they're amazing.
They have done such a good job.
Dead, done, deceased.
I said in a comment for my reaction video that watching Joel and Miff react to Eurovision it's like watching Eurovision with your two fun aunties.
I wake my dancers up, we do a victory kind of military walk.
It's like you're kicking someone in the head behind you. Do you visualise anybody in particular?
With the little quips talking about either the host, the performers, or anything.
Take me to a 70s French disco and lose me forever.
And they just sort of add that Aussie flair to the broadcasting and the commentating for Australia.
They're my absolute favourite. I always believe that if it's... G'day.
And also their interviews with the performers backstage as well is also so cool as well because you get to sort of see more of the performers and sort of being able to talk about the song or anything else that that Miff and Joel asked them.
One thing I've heard about Let 3 is that sometimes you like to take off all of your clothes.
There is always possibility.
That's the same as with Miff.
Like that,
Yeah, me too.
And it's something that, again, only Australians do see, but I just think they just do so well.
Can I just like to give a shout out to my sisters watching this morning? No, Holly, you're not getting a neutral bullet.
And it's just so cool that, you know, whether or not it was actually at the official Eurovision broadcast, we got to see Joel and Miff be able to have their moment. Really cute moment. You guys are doing great work. Being our commentators for Australia, here's to many years to come, hopefully, as our commentators.
So give it up for him. Yeah.
But I gotta keep an eye out for Selena. But I gotta keep an eye out for Selena.
In the green.
Selena.
Yes, I could actually.
Selena.
Dan is like riding up.
Selena.
Now, the moment that we've all been waiting for, the voting and the eventual winner of the competition. The jury and public voting this year was unhinged. It was unhinged, it was messy, but that makes it all the more entertaining. And I've listed off a few things I wanted to put out here. In terms of the jury voting specifically,
the presentation of the jury points is good to go.
There were some very interesting moments that happened. Giannis wished all mums a happy birthday, which was fair enough because, you know, it was nice that he wished everyone a happy Mother's Day.
And a special hi to all the mamacitas.
I hope you are all doing well, especially the girls and the gays.
It's Sonia's nemesis, Niamh Pavada. Hello, Niamh. Can you hear us?
Oh, who's manning the airport tonight then in San Marino? There's only 3 of them.
Austria's spokesperson made a very good segue into talking about equal pay rights for women, which I thought was fantastic. But as he was moving into the segue, he said this.
There's no beauty without some strangeness, and Liverpool has shown again it doesn't really matter how weird or strange we might be.
Oh my God, who said that?
Which I thought was very funny.
Bonsoir Liverpool, bonsoir Ukraine, and good evening Europe.
Joy Unleashed, we're off to Helsinki in Finland. It's time to say...
Put your seatbelts on, if they weren't already.
Hello Europe! Hello Liverpool! Hello Mom and Dad!
Both Germany and Cyprus's spokespeople tried to make a move on Hannah, which I thought was awkward.
Miss Wickingham, you look so wonderful tonight. Would you like to please taste a German biscuit? No. Anyway.
The behavior that you exhibited was poor-like.
Mrs. Wadiham, tonight you broke my unbroken heart.
Oh, steady. Oh.
It's juries, it's not Tinder. Calm down.
Hello, Liverpool. Hello. First of all, congratulations to everybody for such great performances.
Hatari.
I just have to say to the fans in Liverpool Arena, keep it going. You might be the best fans ever. And...
It's none other than Ruth Lorenzo. Good evening, Ruth.
Oh, hello, Pose.
Don't breathe on me, I'm a
Roger, can you hear me?
He can certainly see you.
What a show! And then probably the most shocking moment of the jury votes, and probably one of the most shocking moments in Eurovision this year. Greece didn't give their 12 points to Cyprus.
Hello, voters.
Well, congratulations to Andrew for his 12 points. Oh, no. Well, colour me shocked.
I know. Something's happened this year.
I was fully expecting, the same rigmarole of Greece giving Cyprus 12 points or Cyprus giving Greece 12 points, even though Cyprus couldn't do that because Greece didn't go through. But I was fully expecting Greece to give Cyprus the 12 points, only to see that they gave Cyprus 4 points. Wow.
I stood up for you because I thought we were BFFs. But they're right. You really are a two-faced, backstabbing, lying little...
And Greece gave their 12 points to Belgium, which honestly, well-deserved, but it came as a massive shock because it almost felt like a betrayal at that point. But the Greek public gave Cyprus their dues point anyway, so it was kind of much of a muchness at that point.
Hello, Europe! Good morning, Australia. Wake up, wake up.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment.
Sweden!
And then we had Catherine Tate be the spokesperson for the UK, and she was at the stadium as well, like at the very top. I thought that was really cool, but she did take a while to announce the points, which I thought was very annoying.
And the 12 points. Le 12 points. From the United Kingdom, le Royaume-Uni, our 12 points goes to Sweden.
But that's just me.
Before tonight, did you ever imagine yourself in this position?
Tonight?
Yeah. Have you ever imagined this all day?
I'm in a meditational state. I'm really out there, but yeah.
Do you ever look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head?
And then the public votes were... That was something.
Germany, 15 points.
Serbia, 16 points.
The United Kingdom, 9 points. Portugal, 16 points. France, 50 points. Czechia, 35 points.
Spain, 5 points.
Austria, 16 points. Australia, 21 points.
Estonia, 22 points. How are you?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All I'm going to say is this. I think a lot of countries were snubbed of points. Yes, they were. Yes, they were. One too many countries got snubbed of points by the public, and I just think that's a little bit interesting. It was quite shocking, and I think the crowd was shocked as well with some of the results from the public, to the point where I could hear the crowd literally audibly be in aghast from the announcements. It was quite insane. We can talk more about all of that now with going into the grand final results and the countries. I just want to preface before I do so by saying this. I really do feel like all 20 qualifying countries did deserve to be in the grand final. I think they all deserve to be in the grand final. Their performances were really great. I just think there were some songs that deserved to do better than others. That's the only issue I have. And a good example is starting right now. In 26th place, we had Lord of the Lost with Blood and Glitter for Germany. When will it end? When will Germany's suffering end? No. Germany is down the bottom yet again. I feel like I've heard that sentence way too many times. And you know what? This time, they didn't deserve it. They did not deserve to be last, because I personally believe that this was probably one of Germany's best songs in years, and they ended up getting 18 points. 18 points overall. They got 3 points from the jury and 15 points from the televotes. That is very upsetting. I really don't think they deserved to be last, and their performance was great too. The energy was great. I really enjoyed the performance. I really loved the bit where the lead singer, I forgot his name, I think it was Chris. I loved when, during the second chorus, he was like walking down to the middle of the stage, you know, almost like walking down a catwalk and screaming, "We are blood and glitter." I thought that was such a slay. That was perfect. And they definitely were snubbed of points. I feel sorry for Germany. I'm hoping that they do a lot better next year. But I was right with my prediction. I said in my reaction either 15th to 26th, because I didn't want to rule out Germany being last, because that is always a potential, and I was right. Unfortunately, I was right. I wish I wasn't right, but I was. So 25th place, we had May Muller with I Wrote a Song for the United Kingdom. Again, snubbed of points. I really felt like she was going to do a lot better, and I felt like the song did deserve to be top 20. Unfortunately, again, there just weren't many points given to them. She got 15 points from the jury and 9 points from the televote. It's a shame too, because from watching the contest, that song has been in my head ever since, and I'm just loving it even more and more. What I forgot to mention too was that one of the co-writers of I Wrote a Song is Karen Poole, who has helped to compose a lot of well-known hits. The amount of iconic songs that she has helped to produce for Kylie Minogue alone. Let's see, Chocolate, Red-Blooded Woman, Wow, Do It Again, and Carried Away, which are both fantastic songs from the Wow single release. Nudity, don't get me started on that song. Do not get me started on that song. That is... Time Bomb. Hello. Other artists included her sister Dani. She helped to produce Put the Needle on It. Sugar Babes, Jamelia, Janet Jackson, Lily Allen, Jessica Malboy. She's gone even more into like the K-pop route since 2009. Like, she's even composed songs for Girls' Generation, FX, Boa, and more recently even NCT, Twice, and Red Velvet. So like, I don't understand what went wrong. I really don't. But clearly the public were crickets for the song, which is a shame. I did love the set design for the performance though, especially the aesthetic on the screen. I thought it really fit the song perfectly. And I did want to mention again how late 90s sounding the song was, how dance pop late 90s it was. I can picture the song being a top 5 hit around Europe in 1999. That's how I feel about the song. Okay, moving up. The snubs just keep coming. In 24th, we had Luke Black with Samo Mi se spava for Serbia. Undeserved. No. 24th? It had a lot more potential. It ended up getting 30 points. It got 14 points from the jury and 16 points from the public. Wow. Like Wow, Wipeout.
Hello everyone, how's it going?
Yep. Oh, that was really good Australian. Yeah, give it another go.
How's it going?
I really feel like it should have been top 20 at least, because this song is amazing. I feel like I'm a bit biased because it is my favourite song from the year, but I still think it should have done better. I really did. Looking back in retrospect, the song was giving dystopian hyperpop realness. Especially when you look at the set design for the performance. Luke laying down in that, almost like that flower at the beginning, and then just having the backup dancers being connected to the flower, and then the robot on the screen.
I don't want to be a part of this.
Go to sleep! Go to sleep! You're crazy!
I think this is one of my favourite performances of the entire competition, because it was telling a story, but it was so engaging. There was so much that was happening. Even the moment where Luke's like disconnected the people, and it was almost like the bar for the robot was going down. Oh my god. No, it shouldn't have been 24th. It really shouldn't have. I feel so sorry for Serbia and for Luke that it happened to them, because I really feel like it should have done better.
All right, we're back on. Hopefully this will...
And I don't know if I have anything else to say about it right now, because But hang on. One more other thing. I should also be grateful that Luke even went through to the grand final at all, because in the semi-final, he came 10th. He ranks 10th in semi-final 1, and he only got through by 3 points against Latvia. He ended up getting 37 points from the public. If anything, I'm grateful that he even made it through to the grand final. It would have been worse if he didn't, but I just still think 24th was a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. At least I'm happy that he was in the grand final. 23rd, we had Mimi Cat with I Could Have Saw for Portugal. Again, another snubbery. Mimi Cat got 43 points from the jury and 16 points from the public, amounting to 59 points in total. I was thinking she was going to be at least top 15, but again, the jury and the public had other plans for her, and she came 9th in the semi-final with 74 points.
Told you she was good.
Oh, there's some poor freezing cold ostrich in Portugal right now.
But regardless, I really enjoyed both of her performances. There wasn't much, but the energy of the song really helped to keep the song and the performance going, and her energy on stage was great, and her voice was great as well. When she held that note at the end of the song, it sounded just like the studio version. And I couldn't have asked for anything more. All I am asking though is that she should have been in the top 20. That's all I'm saying.
Do you have a cat?
I do have a cat named Brownie.
Brownie! Are you missing Brownie while you're here?
No.
Robbery after robbery after robbery. Moving on, 22nd place we had Albina and Familia Kalmendi with Duje for Albania. They placed 9th in the semi-final with 83 points. And they got 17 points from the jury and 59 points from the public in the grand final, even as far as getting 1 douze point from the Swiss public. Now, I didn't mind Albina's performance. I really felt like her performance was not bad. Not one of my favorites, but I did love the positioning of her and her family. She was like in the middle, then she had her sisters to the side, her mother and father towards the middle, and then her brother at the middle. The performance was a real family affair. Not the most engaging, but I did enjoy it. At least I enjoyed the performance for what it was, but I did feel like 22nd place for them was probably a good spot. I really wouldn't have expected them to be anywhere above 21st. Not to hate on Albania, because I'm not hating on Albania. I'm just saying it's just weird how, in comparison with the other 4 songs, they placed higher. If it was different, then them being 22nd would have been completely fine. It's just weird, that's all. And rounding off the bottom 6, in 21st place, we had Joker Out with Carpe Diem for Slovenia. At this point, I was really happy that Slovenia went through. In the semi-final, they ended up placing 5th with 103 points. So they did a lot better in the semi-final than they did in the grand final, which I thought was good for them. And in the grand final, they ended up getting 33 points from the jury and 45 points from the public. They got 12 points from the Serbian jury and 1 douze point from the Croatian public. They did quite good, and I liked their performance as well. Not the one that stood out the most to me, but I did quite like it. They did have a good stage presence. Loved their outfits. I think it suited their performance and their personality as well. Although the one guy winking at the camera was kind of a bit odd, but a little bit...
The real me is a southern girl with a Levi's on.
Moving into the top 20. In 20th place, we had Remo Ferrer with Watergun for Switzerland. Remo ended up getting 92 points in the grand final. He placed 7th in the grand final with 97 points, and in the grand final he got 61 points from the jury and 31 points from the public. Again, another nice performance, not one of my favorites. It was very typical of a Eurovision ballad. He had 4 performers who were sort of dancing around him with those things. I don't know what it's called or if there's anything specific, but you know, they had that prop there. A lot of flashing lights in the second chorus. I did like those bits of like red sparks falling down, almost kind of like flare guns almost. And then at the end where the bottom of the stage like had that baby pink in that wavy motion, I thought that was beautiful as well. Nothing too impressive, but it was still good enough, and I think 20th for Switzerland was a good spot in my opinion. Now we're moving on to the first of the 3 songs that I didn't predict to go through to the grand final. 19th place we had Blanca with Solo for Poland and scored 93 points. Blanca got 12 points from the jury, and then getting 81 points from the public.
I'm confused.
She even got 1 douze points from the Ukrainian public as well. That obviously helps in her favour. Clearly people loved her song, and I think the performance helped as well. Again, I was shocked that she went through to the grand final, because when I reacted to the song, it wasn't giving anything at all. On top of the fact that it sounded like Clean Bandit solo didn't help that for me either. Not because I don't like the aforementioned song, I just think copying it, and it didn't sound good. I mean, look, obviously she didn't copy it on purpose, to my knowledge, but, you know, it's still, you know. I did like the aesthetic of the performance, though. What I got from it was a cross between Vaporwave and TikTok influencer. Another thing that I wanted to bring up was something that I thought was quite interesting. I felt like Blanca was taking notes from Chanel's performance last year, because not only did she have a costume change just after the second chorus, but after the second chorus, she had a dance break. I guess that helps with the performance as well, but I felt it was very Chanel coded. Whether that helps or not, I don't know. I mean, obviously, she got 93 points, so it was 1 more than Switzerland. So good for her. But another thing that I would like to mention is that she ended up getting 3rd in the semi-final with 124 points. I don't.
Someone said, Daddy, I want to be a pop star.
Was 19th a good spot for her? Don't know how I feel about Poland being 19th, especially considering the other songs that are further down than her. She deserved to be in the grand final, especially considering the performance, but the final results were a bit weird. In 18th place, we had Pasha Parfeni with Soarele și Luna for Moldova. Pasha ended up getting 20 points from the jury and 76 points from the public. Moldova even got 2 sets of douze points from the Italian and Romanian public. I would like to mention also that Moldova did quite good in the first semi-final, ended up placing 5th with 109 points, but still ended up not doing as good. But I felt like 18th place was probably a good place for Pasha because the performance wasn't too bad. It was a little bit forgettable. I did like the guy playing the flute though. I did enjoy him. He was really cool. I did sort of lose a bit of interest in the song. It just kind of felt a bit forgettable. And I just felt like Soarele și Luna isn't one of my personal favorites. I mean, it never was, but watching the performance, it just sort of brought it down a peg, unfortunately. One thing I did also forget to mention too was that all of the returning acts got through to the grand final, which I thought was great. And the 2 Australia Decides 2022 contestants went through to the grand final as well, but we'll talk more about them very soon. 17th place. This was quite shocking as well. 17th place, we had Blanca Paloma with Yaya for Spain.
Blanca Paloma, a huge favourite here tonight that is sure to go over well, I think, with both televoters and juries.
Which was interesting because I was hearing rumours that she was a front runner to win, or like a front runner to do very well. I even had a person in my comments from the reaction saying that she was a front runner, and I said that'd be really cool if she won because I feel like it would be cool for such a unique song like Yaya to win and also to give Spain a win. Everyone else, especially the public, thought otherwise because she got 95 points from the jury and only 5 from the public. Wow. Wow. It only gave her 100 points in the end. And I feel so sorry because, again, another country that I felt like got snubbed from the public, which was quite shit. Watching the performance, I'm loving the song even more. It is so different. It's so unique. But I'm happy that she did better than what I expected because I predicted her to be like 21st to 26th. I'm glad she did better, but not by much. I thought she was going to do a lot better. I mean, what can you do? It is what it is, and I loved the stage design of the performance. I thought it just sort of added to sort of the mysterious vibes of the song. It was beautiful. I just kind of wish that she did better. It was a bit of a shame, but I really did enjoy Blanca's performance, and I'm so glad that, you know, she did better than I expected. That's all I can say right now. 16th place, another big 5 that got snubbed. Lazara, évidemment, For France, only getting 104 points, 4 more than Blanca. She got 54 points from the jury and 50 points from the public. So it wasn't too bad. I thought she was going to do a bit better, but my prediction was roughly right. I did predict that she was going to be 11th to 15th, just one off. I was one off, and there was a few one-offs with my predictions for the Big Five plus Ukraine. Besides that though, I loved the stage design of her performance. I liked how she started off with this massive tall dress she was in for the beginning, and then as it proceeded, it went away and she was standing on this podium that eventually the bottom of it lit up almost like a mirror ball, which really fit the disco vibe of the song. And I loved her outfit too. It was kind of like this sort of like the sequined dress, kind of like with these almost like red tassels at the shoulders. I thought she did good, and I think I predicted right for France yet again, because France really seemed to end up placing between 12th to 16th often. Very often, actually.
I don't give a pink fuck. I don't give a blue fuck. A grey fuck. A green fuck.
All I can say is at least she did better than France last year. Oh my god, speaking of countries that got snubbed by the public, I don't know what the hell happened here, but 15th place we had Taya and Selena with Who the Hell's Edgar for Austria.
How dare you? Oh my god!
So Austria ended up getting 120 points. They got 104 points from the jury, which is great, but the public gave them 16 points. Yikes. But if it's any consolation, the Belgian jury gave Austria their 12 points. So weighing it out, I don't know. I don't know. They were front runners as well to do very well this year. They came second in the second semi-final with 137 points. What happened? What happened? I cannot believe they didn't make top 10. And especially with some of the songs that are coming up after Austria, which we'll get to in a second. But what I do feel like though is that the performance, I felt like didn't match up with this song. I felt like if there was more maybe like a story on the stage and it wasn't just Taya and Selena with a few backup dancers, I feel like it would have made the performance and in turn the song a lot more exciting and appealing, because I feel like the performance didn't do the song enough justice, I believe, which probably didn't help with the points. But not enough to get 15th. Like, really? Nah, I did not enjoy that at all. Justice for Austria. No. And for the other countries that got snubbed by the public, justice for them. And I think because of the performance, that's why it's gone down as 4th on my ranking. But I still love the song regardless. It is such a great song. It should have done better. That's all I have to say on that.
Have you ever had like any nightmare gigs? Like any awful horror gigs?
A lot of horrible things happening.
Yeah, sorry, I probably might be a bit triggering. I'm sorry.
In 14th place, we had Brunette with Future Lover for Armenia. So Armenia ended up placing 6th in the second semi-final with 99 points, which I thought was not bad. And I thought, okay, cool. I felt like, Armenia going through to the grand final, I first was interesting, but I think it was deserved. The set design was nice. I loved, it was just like that sort of like that slanted platform that she was lying against.
Yes, sitting atop the world's biggest photocopier.
With this pinkish sort of screen on her, and then it was like more of a chrome effect. I loved that bit. She ended up getting 69 points from the jury and 53 points from the public. Brunette actually got 2 sets of 12 points from the French and Georgian public, so that contributed nicely. Another thing I wanted to mention too was that just like Blanca, Brunette decided to do a dance break as well before the final chorus. But unfortunately, I felt like it didn't go with the song. I thought it was very unnecessary. At least with Blanca, it suited the song better. But for a song like Future Lover, I thought it didn't need a dance break. I thought it was just really shoehorned in. Future Lover ended up with 122 points. And I have to admit, it shouldn't have ended up being 14th. I just think in terms of the song, it's good. But I just didn't think in comparison with other songs that were below her, it shouldn't have been 14th. Absolutely not. Moving up, rounding off the 3 songs that were not in my predictions, 13th place, we had Let 3 with Mama Shoot for Croatia. Again, the blind side of the contest, Let 3 ended up with 123 points in total for the grand final. getting only 11 points from the jury, but getting 112 points from the public. That is crazy. The Slovenian public gave Croatia their 12 points. Hey, if it slaps, it slaps. Oh, I just realized the Slovenian and Croatian public gave each other their 12 points. That's the new Greeks and Cyprus, guys. Croatia and Slovenia. Alright. Duly noted.
I've got to say, you've got the best boots at Eurovision. Incredible. Oh my god. Oh, and the best legs, I think, sir.
Hold on.
But what's also interesting too is that Croatia came 8th in the first semi-final with 76 points. So they were further down, but then they just skyrocketed to high places in the grand final. Surprised they went through to the grand final, but I think it was well deserved because that performance was something else, I'll tell you what. But I think it's because Let 3 are such great entertainers that it really showed that people loved them. And also, it was the first time that Croatia was in the grand final since 2017. It's been 7 years since they were last in the grand final. Congratulations again to Croatia for going through. The performance really did help to elevate the song. Not my favorites, but it still was really great. It was very confusing, very weird. My mum was perplexed to infinity with that performance, and rightfully so. But it was entertaining. In the end, the band just dancing around in their undies was a moment. And also, I don't know what was with that guy holding those missiles. He was kind of giving Gargamel vibes, but that's about it. Again, you can see that Let 3 are great performers and they know how to put on a show. That's why I think they were 13th place. I'm not mad that they're 13th. They're one of the songs I think they may be a little bit lower, but I think at the same time they had such a great performance. I think 13th was well warranted for them.
I mean, we've all wanted to see everyone's dad in their undies on.
Moving on, in 12th place we had Andrew Lambro with Break a Broken Heart for Cyprus. 68 points from the jury and 58 points from the public. The Greek public gave their 12 points to Cyprus, so it's kind of like, you know, even though Greece gave their 12 jury votes to Belgium, they still like, oh, but we'll still give you our 12 points from the public. Just to let you guys know that, hey, we're still thinking of you and we still love you. Angela Bro, even though he is Australian and he is what Joel Creasey coined as
Australia's Plan B.
Even though he did quite well and his song was not too bad, I don't feel like 12th place was the right place for this song. It wasn't the best out of the entire competition. He did end up placing 7th in the semi-final with 94 points. So it wasn't bad, but 12th place wasn't it. Although I must say, I did love the set design of his performance. I loved how it was like, you know, the blue with the water. It really went with the song. And then leaning towards the final chorus, everything turning red and then just having all the pyrotechnics. I thought it really fit with the song. I just don't think that 12th place was the right place for the song. Not deserved. I'm just going to say, not deserved.
Have you had a pedicure?
No, I haven't. I'm going to be honest with you.
Really good.
Fetish.
I don't.
Just missing out on the top 10. In 11th place, we had Monica Linkite with Stay for Lithuania. Monica ended up with 127 points, getting 81 points from the jury and 46 points from the public. I liked Monica's song as well. The set design was not bad. It was very typical of a empowering ballad. You know, you had Monica with the backup singers singing along with her. Typical Eurovision ballad stuff, you know. The song was not bad, but not enough. Like, in comparison with some of the other songs, I just didn't think it should have been 11th. That's pretty much it. I don't have much else to say about it. If I had to choose who I would want to be in the bottom 6 this year, it would be, in no particular order, Albania, Switzerland, Moldova, Poland, Armenia, and Cyprus, based on the song and or the performance. Let's move on to the top 10 songs from the competition. In 10th place, we had Vesna with My Sister's Crown for Czechia. So Czechia ended up getting 94 points from the jury and only 35 points from the public. Good news though, Czechia got one set of 12 points from the Swiss jury. Czechia ended up coming 4th in the first semi-final with 110 points, one above Pasha Parfeni. I was kind of expecting Vesna to sort of go along with their individual aesthetics from the promo photos, but I did like the sort of like singular pink outfits. They had slight alterations so that it would be a bit more individual. I like that. And the long plaited hair, that also was really good too. They had a good energy on stage, but I feel like also the performance did leave a bit to be desired. Not too much, because the song really helped to have that energy, but because of the fact that My Sister's Crown has such great energy, I really felt like there needs to be a bit more on stage to sort of balance out that energy, because I felt like there wasn't as much going on, unfortunately. But I'm just glad that Vesna placed top 10, because at least it was a song that I loved that placed a respective spot. But here's the thing though, there are 9 points separating 10th place to 15th place. That's how tight that section was in terms of who was placing where. So I'm grateful that Vesna placed 10th, because it could have easily been one of the songs that I didn't like as much. Well done to Vesna for placing in 10th. Well deserved. Moving on, in 9th place we had Voyager with Promise for Australia. This is the 3rd time that Australia has placed 9th in their run. It's a very familiar place for Australia in Eurovision at the moment. So here is where things are a bit shocking. Well, firstly, Australia ended up getting 151 points in total in the grand final, but they got 130 points from the jury and only 21 points from the public. Now I want you to keep that in mind for one moment. The good thing is though that Australia did get 2 sets of 12 points from the Icelandic and Portuguese jury, and I felt like it was really great because of the spokespeople for those countries that year. For Iceland, we had Einar Stephenson, who is part of Hatari, who represented Iceland in 2019 with the song Hatchin Mun Sigra, which was one of my favourite songs from 2019. So I felt like it was cool that he gave us the 12 points for Iceland.
Excellent. That was a good start. Hatari.
It's hot in here.
Australia. And then of course for Portugal it was Maro, who, if you already know by now, Saudade Saudade is my favourite song from last year. So I felt like her giving Australia 12 points this year was such a full circle moment for me.
Our 12 points go to Australia.
And I felt like it was just such a great moment. Shout out to Portugal and Iceland. Love you guys. Remember how I was saying about how the public gave Australia 21 points in the grand final? Let's go back to that for a second, because here is where I find that very confusing. Because in the second semi-final, Australia came first with 149 points. But bear in mind that this year is the first year where all of the votes are by the public. So why did we get 149 points from the public in the semi-final and then only 21 points in the grand final by the public? Kind of a bit interesting. I feel like it's a bit suspicious. Nothing bad, but I'm just thinking, I find it confusing. I find it confusing that you're giving Australia so many points in the semi-final and then a handful of points in the grand final. I just find that weird. It's weird. Regardless though, I really enjoyed Voyager's performance. They were electrifying and they really had the crowd going. I'm so proud of them. I said that they could probably do top 10 and they did. I'm so happy for them. I really did think that the performance helped to elevate the song even more, and they really got a great response from the crowd when they finished their performances in both the semi-final and the grand final.
Yes, get in losers, we're going to the grand final.
I can't be any more proud of Voyager. Congratulations guys, you did great. So happy that you guys placed in the top 10. Well deserved, well deserved.
Promise me it's going to be alright.
Australia, you're so well represented this year. You know, the guys are amazing.
Voyager.
Yes.
I'm like really in love with their performance and song. We're so grateful that you're here. We have the best time with Voyager.
Every day we were like chatting and yeah, laughing.
You guys have a great contest with Voyager. They are absolutely lovely.
And yeah, I'm just happy. I'm just happy that Australia did really well, especially in comparison with the last 2 years. I think this is definitely a win for us. I can definitely say that. Moving along, at 8th place, we've got Alika with Bridges for Estonia. When I was watching the second semi-final on the Saturday, I had my cousins come over and I was watching the second semi-final with one of my cousins. It was her first time watching Eurovision, so I was explaining it to her, and she was quite fascinated by the show, and she cited Alika and Estonia as her favourite performance for the night, and she was so happy that she went through to the grand final. And so did I, because I really loved Alika's performance. I loved the song, and it was another favourite of mine. Very surprised that she ended up placing top 10. I'm happy, but I was quite surprised. She got 146 points from the jury. That's a lot of points. She came 5th in the jury, but she only got 22 points from the public, which I thought was quite interesting as well, which amounted to 168 points. But she also got one set of 12 points from the Latvian jury. So, again, quite great as well. Actually, looking at it again, that's really great because Alika was 10th in the semi-final. She was at the bottom with 74 points. Clearly the public didn't like the song as much as the jury did. So I find that very interesting. So the jury made up a lot of the points that Alika got in the grand final. I loved the performance for a few reasons. One, I really loved the piano just like playing on its own. It was, you know, a ghost. It was the Phantom. The Phantom of the Opera. It's like the obsession with canine-esque creatures. You know? Oh my... I spilt the tea in my hair. Oh no, what? What's going on? What is going on right now?
Wow, she must really hate sharing the stage with anybody else because she's got a self-playing piano. Can't even stand a pianist.
The piano, I love that touch with the piano. Again, it was one of those moments where it was a ballad, it didn't need much, but that piano was the only prop that she needed because then her voice was amazing. And again, just like Mimi Cat, her voice live was just as good as the studio version, which was great, especially considering the last note that she belted out at the end. She held it perfectly. And that really helped to solidify the performance for being as good as the song itself. So I think Alika getting 8th place was unexpected, but deserving, I think. I think she deserved that, especially considering she came 10th in the semi-final. It was like the glow-up of the competition. Oh, speaking of glow-ups, actually, 7th place we had Gustav with Because of You from Belgium. And this is kind of another great moment as well for Belgium because Gustav got 127 points from the jury and also getting 55 points from the public. The public weren't moving that much for the song, but the juries were. Belgium actually got 3 sets of 12 points from the Australian, Georgian and Greek juries. Again, the betrayal of the century with Greece. But I'm happy that Belgium did well because Belgium only came 8th in the semi-final with 90 points. Don't know what to say about that.
Well, I'm so honoured to be here with Gustav from Belgium. G'day, how's it going? G'day. G'day.
Now, there is something that I do want to mention that only happened in the Australian broadcast. Australians, if you know what I'm about to say now. During the semi-final performance of Because of You, something was happening with the SBS broadcast where I don't know what the fuck was going on, but there was a comment, like everyone's calling him, has called him Commentator 1. He left his mic on during the performance, so you could just hear him just talking without knowing that he had his mic on through 2/3 of Gustav's performance.
And for anyone that caught our primetime broadcast, if Commentator 1 could please hush during this performance, we'd really appreciate it.
And I initially thought it was Gustav's mic that was making that noise, but then I could hear someone else talking and I'm like, oh my god, is that from like the actual broadcast from Eurovision? But then I realised, nah, the guy sounds Australian, it has to be from the SBS broadcast. I think it's become a bit of a minor meme now, but I just thought that it just kind of affected the performance a bit because I couldn't really watch the performance because the commentator was like, I could just hear him up until the moment where we had Bestie voguing the house sound.
That's such an adrenaline rush being on stage.
Yes.
How do you kind of come down after that?
I just sit in a pool of tears for myself and hover in a corner like a baby.
Through the grand final performance, the performance was not bad. I mean, the song was great. I loved the song. Very 90s house. I loved it. And I thought Gustav's energy was really great alongside with the backup performers. Had that nice little like set design of that little platform. But I think the screen set it up for itself, kind of having like all like the people dancing and voguing. Speaking of voguing, we had that person just coming in during the final chorus, voguing the stadium down. I wish I could vogue like that. I mean, I can't Vogue myself. That might be something I have to do one day as like a goal. Because like I can't... I don't know how to Vogue properly. Don't expect me to Vogue perfectly because I'm not going to Vogue properly. Regardless, I think, especially considering that the public weren't moving that much for Gustav, I'm glad that he ended up placing high. 182 points. That was quite good. He did a lot better than I expected. That's for sure. In 6th place, we had Tvorchi with Hearted Steel for Ukraine. My prediction for Ukraine was 1st to 5th. Again, one off. Tvorchi ended up getting 54 points from the jury and 189 points from the public. Ukraine ended up getting 1 set of 12 points from the Czech jury and 4 sets of 12 points from the Czech, Moldovan, Polish and Portuguese public. So, a lot of 12 points for Tvorchi. And you know what? Rightfully so. I loved the performance. I loved the set design with the screens on the squares alongside the screen in the background. And I really loved the backup performers choreographing alongside the screen. That would have taken a lot of time to sort of like get right. And then also the pyrotechnics towards the end, I thought helped to emphasize the drama of the final parts of the song. 243 points it ended up getting, and I think that was well deserved. I think 6th place was quite a good spot. I thought it was going to be a bit higher, but all I knew was that it was definitely going to be top 10, definitely. Like I said in my reaction, definitely sounds something that Flume would produce. If you listen to Flume, then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't listened to Flume, listen to a bit of his music, and you'll understand what I mean by when I say that, because it definitely is very Flume coded, this song. I love that song. And again, another song where I think definitely the performance helped to elevate it even more to the fact that, you know, to point out I love the song now. It's really great. Alright, moving up to our top 5 for the year. In 5th place, we have Alessandra with Queen of Kings for Norway. Interesting stats here. Alessandra ended up getting 52 points from the jury, but came 3rd in the public voting with 216 points. Seems like the public really loved Alessandra, which is interesting actually, considering that Alessandra came 6th in the semi-final with 102 points. I would assume that maybe she would have been maybe bit higher up, but clearly not. Seemed like there was more love in the grand final than the semi-final, and rightfully so, because Norway got 1 set of 12 points from the Finnish public. Like I said, I didn't like her song as much reacting to it, but watching her perform, opening up the competition with being the first to perform in the semi-final, solidified where Eurovision was going this year and like how entertaining it was going to be, because I think her performance was really great. I think her stage presence was really great. There wasn't much in terms of set design. I think it was just some backup performers like with glow sticks almost, but I think that was enough because Alessandra's stage presence was there. She had the crowd going. Good for her. Like, I think 5th place, especially considering the jury votes, I thought, oh, she wasn't going to do well, but then the public were like, no, we love her, get her up there, and she did. She came 5th, which I thought was quite interesting, but I think I expected that. No, I think I predicted that she was going to be like top 10 or top 5, because I thought this is something very Eurovision-y, everyone was going to love it, and I was right. I don't know why I did that. Moving on, in 4th place, we have Marco Magnoni with Due Vite for Italy. 350 points in the grand final, guys, and ended up being the highest placing country for the Big Five for the year. Marco got 176 points from the jury and 174 points from the public. Italy got 5 sets of 12 points from the Austrian, Croatian, Romanian, Samarinian and Slovenian jury, and 2 sets of 12 points from the Albanian and Maltese public. So clearly Italy was favoured a lot more than what I expected. I thought definitely like maybe at least bottom top 10, but not 4th. I was a little bit off with that. He did better than I expected. Did I think it was deserving though? I don't know, because I was a bit shocked that he did come 4th. I was thinking after his performance, at least at the highest 6th. I don't know. But I did like his performance. I loved how, you know, he did have a bit of something in the background with those 2 performers bouncing on and off the trampoline, doing that sort of performance. I wanted to make a comment though. My grandmother, when she was watching it with us, she didn't like his outfit. And I thought that was quite interesting. She pointed that out. I didn't mind his outfit. I thought it suited him. And I feel like with a song like Due Vite, I think it worked well.
By the way, you're very, very stylish. Have you decided on what you're wearing on stage?
I'm
yet?
Italian.
What was I thinking?
His performance in the grand final, I could tell, was quite emotional. I felt like after he performed, he was almost on the brink of tears. He like fell to his knees. I felt like he was on the verge of crying at that point. And also, he did surpass his previous positioning in 2013. So congratulations to Marco. And also, can I just say, congratulations to Monica Linkite, because even though I didn't like Stay that much, she did a lot better than her placement in 2015. So congratulations to both Marco and Monica for surpassing their previous position. Really great. Now we're getting into the big guns, the top 3 for the year. In 3rd place, I was quite surprised by this, but Noah Carell with Unicorn for Israel. 362 points. That was 12 higher than Marco. Wow. So, Israel got 177 points from the jury and 185 points from the public. That is some big stuff, baby. 5 sets of douze points from the Armenian, Azerbaijani, French, Italian and Polish jury, and 4 sets of douze points from the Armenian, Azerbaijani, Cypriot public, and the rest of the world that were voting. The rest of the world voted for Israel. Unicorn had a bigger pool than anyone had expected because... Sorry, I've been talking a lot. I need some more tea. Oh fuck, it's cold now. As the competition was going along, Unicorn was becoming more and more of a front runner to win, which I thought was quite amazing. And look, I understand, because her performance was great. It's up there with Serbia as one of my favorite performances of the competition because she just had the crowd engaged. She had me engaged. She had a whole bunch of backup dancers. If you watched my reaction, remember how I said I could picture this being like a big dance break live. I can visualize that, you know, on stage live. I reckon it's going to be a moment. Oh boy, did she bring it. Her dance break was amazing and it just really amped up the final 30 seconds of that song, and I can definitely see how it got everyone else going. Unicorn was the dark horse of the competition, the dark unicorn if you will. So I'm really happy that Noah did very well, and she ended up coming 3rd in the first semi-final as well with 127 points. So, you know, oh no, I hit a nerve. I hit a nerve in my elbow and now my not on my elbow. Ew. I hate it. Hang on. No, hang on. Oh, I did not enjoy that at all. Oh no, ew. Anyways, fantastic energy. I love the energy on the stage. A well-deserved 3rd place. And again, thanks to the performance, I'm loving the song even more now. So, well done to Noah. I think 3rd place was well-deserved for the song. Now we've come to the top 2. And basically, the front runners to win the entire competition from the get-go. Starting off with 2nd place, we have Karia with Cha 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 for Finland. Karia ended up getting 150 points from the jury and 376 points from the public. Karia came 1st in the public voting, above Loreen. So that showed how much people love Karia. And if that didn't prove it to you, whenever Finland, Karia, or Cha 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 came out of anybody's lips in the stadium, everyone went in a frenzy. They loved him. I loved him.
So, I stalked him.
No, but I really did I really loved his performance. Again, another favourite performance of mine.
He is wearing a very notable outfit that has already become iconic in the online Eurovision fandom. It's, you know, very much when your sleeves say Met Gala, but your chest says Vicks Vapor Rub.
Here's how much the public loved them, alright? Finland got 2 sets of douze points from the Norwegian and Swedish jury. But he also got 18 douze points from the Australian, Austrian, Belgian, Danish, Estonian, German, Icelandic, Irish, Israeli, Latvian, Lithuanian, Dutch, Norwegian, San Marinian, Serbian, Spanish, Swedish, and British public. The public loves this guy. And with good reason. He is very much Eurovision material. He is something that Eurovision needs and got. And if anyone had the chance of defeating Loreen, it was him. It was Karia. to show that, Karia came first in the semi-final one above Loreen with 177 points. He came first. So that really should show you how much the public loves this guy. Karia Fever was hitting Liverpool.
It's Creasey. It's party.
So then, with the performance, I love the performance. I felt like there were a few hiccups that I saw in the performance. In the first semi-final, when he was trying to break one section of the crate at the beginning, it took him 2 tries to do it, and I thought that was like a bit funny. And then in the grand final, there was this moment where he was running around the crate, and there was a rope that almost garroted him. I'm so glad that he missed, because that could have been bad. That could have been bad. But that performance was something else. Oh, and I have to say as well, the teeth on the backup dancers. I had to do a double take because I'm like, wait, something's up here. And I looked and I'm like, oh shit, they're fake. It was kind of giving a mixture between The Purge and Aphex Twin with their smiles. Everything about it. I'm like, yeah, I could definitely see this guy winning if he had the chance to. I have to say, congratulations to Karia for doing so well. You put up a good fight to win. It was amazing.
It's time for fun. It's time for party. It's time for Karia.
Exactly.
And it was crazy because when they were doing the public voting, before they announced how many points Loreen had, he was on top. There was this moment that Karia could have potentially won. But unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, he still did really great. I think a well-deserved second place. But it was a little bit inevitable that he came second because first place was probably one of the most sweetest moments of any Eurovision that I've seen in a while. It was kind of a no-brainer, but I thought there was some big competition. But in the end, in first place, it was Loreen with Tattoo for Sweden. It was, again, an all-star season this year of Eurovision, and Loreen just came back to win. She came at the right place at the right time, because I think this was the right time for her to come into the competition again. The jury gave Loreen 340 points, making her at the top for the jury, and 243 points from the public. Loreen got 15 sets of 12 points from the Albanian, Cypriot, Danish, Estonian, Finnish, German, Irish, Israeli, Lithuanian, Maltese, Moldovan, Dutch, Spanish, Ukrainian, and British juries. And surprisingly, she got no 12 points from the public.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Just what do you think about that? No 12 points from the public.
I'm sitting on the couch with Loreen from Sweden. Hello.
Hey, you.
But she did end up placing second in the semi-final with 135 points from the public. So there is that. I must say though, her performance, again, another favourite of mine. I loved that set design of her in between those 2 columns. Oh, and her nails.
Your nails, that's what I want to know about.
Oh
you
my
can tell me
God,
later.
it's so beautiful.
Yeah, they're made out of stone, darling.
Are we seriously talking about nails now?
Yeah.
Amazing. I loved her nails. And I just felt like Loreen being in Eurovision 2023, everything fell into place for her. Everything about the set design, the song, it just fell into place, and it just was so magical. It was so fantastic. And it just made me love the song even more, hence why it went from 17th to 3rd on my ranking. And I can't get the song out of my head now. That song is on me like a tattoo. Ooh. Oh my god. But it gets even better because now that she's won again, it makes her not only the second person to win Eurovision twice, but she's officially the first woman to do so.
It's time to say goodbye, God.
Well deserved. That was such a well-deserved win because it just was right. Loreen winning. Like, I would have loved for Karia to win too, but I'm really happy that Loreen won as well.
Finland, Sweden, are you ready?
And it's come really full circle for me as well, because the first Eurovision competition that I watched was Baku 2012, and there were 2 moments that I remembered clearly in my head. One was the Russian grannies, they were iconic, and 2, the moment that Loreen won with Euphoria. Now, 11 years later, watching her with Tattoo and winning again, it was so serendipitous. There was so much serendipity watching Loreen win. Amazing. Amazing. And again, congratulations to Loreen. Well deserved. I'm really happy that you won with Tattoo. It just is amazing.
Thank you so much, and thank you for making my Eurovision.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Oh my god.
Yes! Yes!
So, we're heading to Sweden 2024. I am really excited for that. Sweden hosting the competition in 2024 will mark 50 years after ABBA won back in 1974. Again, falling into place. And may I also add too, where did ABBA win? That's right, in the United Kingdom. There are so many parallels with Loreen winning with ABBA. It's kind of insane. I'm hoping that ABBA, please let ABBA, I'm really hoping that ABBA performs next year. Even if it's holograms, I don't care. I feel like because it'll be the 50th anniversary of ABBA winning and it will be hosted in Sweden, I think it would be daft for that not to happen. No way. I want ABBA to perform next year as an act. Let it happen. Let it happen. Guys, let's manifest ABBA performing at Eurovision next year. Let us manifest it. Imagine if... No, I don't think it will happen. But imagine if ABBA was Imagine if ABBA was the act. Imagine if Sweden put in ABBA 50 years after they won. Like... I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. It is possible. But I just want to... But... Hey. It could happen. I mean, I don't know, like, if it would have to be, like, if holograms would count, I don't think they would. But even if they actually performed, whether if they're, like, Sweden's act, or if it was, like, you know, as a performance, let us manifest ABBA being a big part of Eurovision next year in one way or another, please. And another thing that I want to manifest is Petra Mede hosting as well, because she hosted in 2013 and 2016 for Sweden, and she is probably one of my favorite hosts ever, because she is so camp, and I loved her hosting so much. Let her host again. I have a good feeling that Sweden 2024 is going to be as good as this year. I just feel like there's so many things that's fallen into place for this competition next year. We've got Luxembourg coming back after 30 years. ABBA could potentially perform after they win 50 years. We get Petra hosting again. Like, so much potential next year for Eurovision. Oh my god. But in the meantime, I just want to say, again, Loreen, well done, well deserved. And congratulations to everyone who went through to the grand final. Again, I think you all deserve to be in the grand final. I just think some of the placing could have been different, but it is what it is. I'm just happy with how it all turned out. I think it all just was perfect this year. And with that, Eurovision is done for another year. I'm so sad that it's just come and went like that. But, you know, I'm just happy because this year was so great. And I'm going to say it. I think out of all of the years I've watched Eurovision, which has been 11 years now, and 10 contests, I think Liverpool 2023 has been my favourite. There's been so much great music this year. Like, literally, there has been bops upon bops upon bops this year. And the energy of the competition this year was fantastic. And I think the unification of Ukrainian and British cultures into the competition was done so well. I'm really happy that the UK have done so well with balancing that out. It was amazing. And I couldn't have asked for a better competition this year. Now, we wait for another 11-12 months before next year, and we'll see what's going to be in store for us for next year. I predict that next year is going to be amazing. I reckon it's going to be history making, actually, considering all the parallels. So in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you've enjoyed my video, please leave it a like. If you're enjoying my content, please subscribe. It will be very much appreciated. Comment down below, what was your favorite song this year? What were your favorite moments from the competition this year? Who were your favorite performances? And hit the notification bell to get notified on when I upload next. Another Eurovision has passed us, and it's just been so great. So I will see you all next year for Eurovision 2024. But in the meantime, stick around because I've got more content coming up. I'm coming back to the album reactions now. I've got a few more that I'm getting ready to film very soon. Stay tuned for all of that. And as always, take care of yourself, treat yourself, do what makes you feel good. And I will see you all very, very soon. See ya!